find himself, he was gonna have the same thing happen. A whole litany of people was gonna advocate for him to get released. They scared to release him because he's gonna tell the tribes the truth about the blue and the red and how these motherfuckers got y'all fighting each other. And he is a living example. So they give him the death penalty because they don't never want him to be able to tell it. Well, we got to figure out an end run around that shit, right?
Mm.
Look, don't come on here asking me if I'm for no motherfucking Israel. Blow that bitch off the map. Blow that bitch off the map because it's causing too many problems for the rest of the world. Just demolish that shit. Carpet bomb the entirety of the West Bank, Israel, Palestine, fuck them all. They ain't got nothing to do with our struggle over here, and they kicking all our money going over there. So just blow them all up so we can keep our money at home. You're going to blow them up anyway. Come here asking about no goddamn Israel. Fuck Israel.
How you get rid of the ideology though?
Look, the ideology going to get rid of itself when people start waking up to what the fuck going on.
Mm-hmm. All right. I got a question for you, Chief.
Yep.
I don't know what episode, but I've been chimed in with you for a while now, and I'm grateful to be on here with you today. But you had said one time that if you are a chief, there's gonna be one of 3 birds following you: an eagle, a hawk, or a falcon, and one for a priestess. What did you mean by that? And how do you know
Nature,
which bird?
nature symbols, nature signs. So we got totem animals,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you hear the term Algonquin, that
Mm-hmm.
means eagle face, bird face. It's really tied back to Tahuti, right? The bird and the feathers became sacred to all of the tribes of the Americas. And several tribes in the motherland, several tribes in the Far East, what we call Asia. Okay, now the bird is the symbol for spiritual freedom, the freedom to soar spiritually. The apex of the birds is the eagle first, it's the falcon, and it's the hawk, right? The falcon or the hawk is used in falcon. Falconry is using them to hunt for, with using the nature of the bird to turn him into a tool of hunting. And um, now the bird of prey can now serve its man as a hunter. Okay, so now you got your hawk and your falcon, but you got the cleanup crew. The cleanup crew, the condor or the turkey vulture or the buzzard, that's the cleanup crew. It's the chiefs just boots on the ground actually doing the physical work of whatever. If it's in peacetime, they plowing fields. If it's in wartime, they fighting combat, right? If it's time to upgrade the society, they teach it in university. So when we tie to a animal, one of the birds, we tie to a bloodline, and that bird will follow us. And sometimes we'll have more than one that's tied to our totem animal because of our bloodline. So let's say the eagle, the hawk, and the buzzard, right? Let's say you got all 3 of these birds that's constantly popping up. You're seeing them everywhere you go. They following you. It look like they following you because it look like it's the same bird. And probably it is. But this is because nature is tracking you, not man. Nature used what's natural to track you. And if you're moving faster than a land animal will run, which is in the motor vehicle, then they have to use aerial of view. This is where you even get the idea of an Air Force from. You have to see it from the air, what they call a bird's eye view. They have to watch you from above so they can't lose you. It's the same meaning as the symbol of the all-seeing eye on the pyramid, meaning to have the bird's eye, third eye view of the land, everything under it, the base of the pyramid, right? The capstone is not connected to the pyramid, which is really representing of the chief, and his physical disconnection from the people represents the entire structure itself, right? Where it appears to be physically separated is because it's spiritually tied together to the rest of the pyramid to form one structure. You get it? So when Dolph flipped me a code, he flipped me a pyramid capstone with a red eye. Immediately brought up George Jackson, the Soledad brother, as a gorilla knock, blood in my eye. So now I gotta find out why is Dolph sending me the code of blood in my eye? What in the fuck? And not just the regular eye, blood in my third eye. What have he seen? What does he discover? And it led me down a rabbit hole that ended up with me channeling the boy Triple X that I had never listened to none of his music before. And he's getting on my fucking nerves because he keep calling me bro. And he keeps saying, I ain't dead, bro. I ain't dead, bro. Tell him I ain't dead. I'm still here. I'm just laid out. I'm just hid up. And I'm like, man, would you quit calling me bro? I've been telling him everything you telling me if you quit calling me bro. That was he kept doing it for me to bring attention to it, right? So when his tribe heard me channeling, they immediately inboxed me a whole slew of youngsters. I don't know. I never listened to his music. And I never really watched him that much, but they was in my inbox talking about, bro, that was our chief, man. You was talking directly to him. It wasn't a fluke. This is his tribe telling me that. I don't know him like that, right? Now, if it had been Pac, I'd have been able to have a whole conversation with him, and I wouldn't have had to check with nobody because that's my guy, right? But because it's a person that I'm not familiar with, he have to have a what they call a calling card. So Dolph turned Triple X on to me on the ethers telepathically. Hey, check in with this guy. So when he's channeling to me off what Dolph's saying, he's saying, I'm going to walk you through it. Now, I'm sitting in my room before I go live. He's walking me through these pictures. And it's a countdown from a guy that owned a record label called Empire. And it was a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And every one of them, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 was an Empire artist that was some kind of way mysteriously came up murdered. And we know them all. And so when I was doing the live, and then he came back in on the live, Triple X, and started really annoying me. And his calling card was to keep calling me bro, for his tribe to recognize that he really was talking to me because it was getting on my nerves. And normally I talk to a lot of these young guys that never bothered me before. But every time he said it, it annoyed me. And I'm like, man, I'm telling them everything you're telling me, right? So while he's telepathically telling me this stuff, his people, I'm getting stuff, tickers in the comments and everything. And I'm like, damn. So what he ended up showing me, he say, he say, he say, big bro, let your man be free and follow me for a minute. He took me to a meeting. And in this meeting, it was looked like a library room or old study from The Godfather or something. And it was an old Arab dude sitting there, or Chaldean or something. He was Middle Eastern. And it was another one sitting on the side of his desk. And then the dude that owned Empire Records comes in the room. I remembered him from the pictures. And I'm like, damn. So he was like, just watch, bro. Watch what they do. So he opened up a big ass book and it got all of the artists' names on Empire Records. But beside him, it got insurance policy amounts. They don't have no knowledge of this. It's all done in the back, in this dark room. So when they go through the insurance policies, he said, "Look, bro, look, you're gonna see my name and you're gonna see Dolph's name." So he zoomed in on the book. It had Dolph Ziggler, not Dolph Ziggler, young Dolph, and he had his real name in brackets behind his stage name, and then it said 100 million, and it had a symbol by it, 100 million and whatever this other symbol was, right? So he go down all of the artists that was dead. He was one of them. He had his stage name XX Tentacion, and then he had his real name in the bracket, and then he had $100 million, and then it had another symbol behind it. The symbols was the code because the dude had to get a certain amount of artists blood in order to meet his quota. The symbol told him how much was the balance on the quota, and they was paying him out in increments of $100 million in insurance money that had nothing to do with the artist's family or their estate. And she was showing me Triple X showing me all this telepathically, and so I'm trying to explain to people what's going on with Young Dolph. And Young Dolph people start flipping me codes. And then they say it was going to be another rapper from Memphis was going to get accused falsely of being involved. And they showed me Soldier Boy. When they showed me Soldier Boy, they say they was going to try to implicate him in Dolph, but he don't got nothing to do with it. So then a couple days go by, I'm on the I'm on Instagram, and guess who pop up? Soldier Boy, and he was rambling, but everything he said sounded like it was related to what I was shown. But you could tell he was just on there rolling the blunt, just chit chat chitting. But it was like answering everything, and he was like, "Man, Memphis don't move like that, man. I don't know who them niggas is. Them some strange niggas, right?" But I don't think he was talking about specifically about Dolph Cakes. He was just talking about something that went on in Memphis that it had nothing to do with no Memphis guys. But based on what I had seen and what he was talking about, it seemed like the answer to what I was seeing is what he was talking about. It was crazy. I was like, "Whoa," right? And I was like, "Shit." He got a whole crew of Soldier Boy soldiers. Right now, my attention was drawn to him by Ice-T. Because Ice-T said Soldier Boy single-handedly destroy hip hop. He could eat a dick. Oh man, no OG don't talk to the young G like that when he doing the best he can with what he know. The baby 16 years old when he made that song in high school, having fun playing with his homeboys. They make up a dance and turn it into a song. We didn't know it was going to take off like that. You can't say he single-handedly killed hip-hop. Hell, if that's the case, Nas had already declared hip-hop dead.
There's a season for everything.
Long before Soulja Boy came about. So how he single-handedly killed? So I just felt that, Ice-T owed him an apology for that. So that draw my heartstrings to be able for him to say something, and then I could pick a tribal frequency up from it. Right? This shit is not what people think it is. They got it all. They got the game all twisted. It ain't what people think it is. But because they think they know better than everybody else, you can't tell them shit. So I hope I answered your question because I went on a long trip on that one.
No, you did in the messages.
Yeah, but those birds are tied to your totem. Your totem governs the frequency by which you receive spiritual information.
Mm.
And by knowing what they mean. It helps you interpret messages from nature. Nature talking to us all the time, but we have to develop our individual codex for it.
Yeah.
Because you gotta everything you see, you like, what do the if you don't want to call it a tree, you gotta make up your own name for that shit. I'm gonna call that mother forful.
Yeah.
So now when I talk to people, yeah, man, I got a brand new forful garden in my backyard. You don't know what you talking about. Oh, that ain't no tree, man. That's a forful. Man, them
Man.
trees. Them forful. I don't identify with your dynamic no more. I'm going out of it. So I make my own codex. Now
Word.
when right, so now when you hear the word somewhere, you be like, oh, nature talking back.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody know what you named the tree but you and the people you told. So when nature bring the word back to you, nature talking back to you. Right?
I was just talking to a tree the other day. I went to go take a piss on her, and I asked her, I said, what I said to her. I don't remember what I said to her, but I know what she told me. She said, grow me large, and I'll take you deep."
She said what?
She said, "Grow me large, and I'll take you deep."
Roots run deep in the ground. The bigger the tree is, the larger the tree. Grow me large. Right?
Man.
And as you was pissing on the tree,
Yeah, I took a, yeah, I did. I took a piss on the tree.
yeah. So she's telling you she's gonna use your bodily waste as a form of fertilizer.
Word.
Honor
She,
the tree.
I know she know it because that's what I think about every time I take a piss on her. And I take a point to anytime I have some fruit, throw my pills on her in the bushes. Don't ever throw them away. You know what I'm saying? That's the blood. That's the blood given back to earth.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why they created waste distribution centers. Remember, before they had toilets, they had outhouses. Before they had outhouses, we went and peed and shit under trees and different stuff
That's right.
in bushes, right?
It's
And
still right.
yeah, so we, that's what we was doing on purpose, though, because when our bodily waste get in the ground, Mother Earth can then determine what we sick with, what plants need to grow in the area, and code
Mm,
them to the genetics of the person's DNA. It's a lot of
mm.
communication our waste give to the earth. So when they create waste distribution centers and processing centers, it takes the connection to the earth from our waste system. Earth is no longer processing our waste, man is doing it.
That's right. And that's part of the rebuilding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look, systems like that.
Yeah, that's why we always used everybody that lived in the city had a lifeline in the country. We didn't have grocery stores. Grocery stores is not 200 years old,
Right.
right? We had trading posts, but the trading posts consisted of something from all of the local tribes that came and brought goods to be traded for other goods. They tried to make it like the colonizers set up the trading posts. We
Right.
had trading posts thousands of years before they ever got here.
Trapping.
Mm-hmm. Just
Hey,
kidding.
you know anybody that got some tobacco? Real homegrown tobacco, one of ours.
Well, you literally they got families that still grow their own tobacco all through the South. We not gonna never stop growing weed. We not gonna never stop growing tobacco. I don't care how many laws they make. We can always do it. It's part of who we is. We ain't gonna never stop growing corn,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So those are three crops we can always grow.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's
So
that.
yeah.
Like
But
I had
um,
recently bought some. Wait, what you gonna say, Chief?
yep. I got my. I'm right now. I'm getting my cigars from Brother Rich. He got a grower that's coming out of I don't want to butcher it. I don't want to, but he got a grower that's been doing it on one of the islands, and the tobacco is a whole different animal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tobacco supposed to allow your mind to flow current smoother. You got you got you got nicotine receptors that's supposed to help you with processing higher levels of information than you would normally encounter um, if you was just you walking around regular and didn't smoke, right? You
Mm-hmm.
probably wouldn't process higher realms of information. So the nicotine receptor, once you plug it in, it's like plugging your cell phone into a laptop to transfer data, right? Except you use the nicotine plant and the receptor as the communicator.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have what's called an endocannabinoid system. It's a whole energy field tied to your aura. It's the
Yep.
bonding agent between your aura and your physical body, which is also to help you process higher forms of information. This is why college students that can't left home and didn't do no kind of narcotics smoke weed all the way through their college career because it helped them study and helped them to recall and retain information better.
Tap into the energies of the earth.
Yeah. Now the endocannabinoid system do so many different things. It helps the body to relieve pain, stress, breaks down cortisol in the organs, breaks down cortisol in the skin and in the fatty tissues, which allows you to break down the fatty tissue. The reason you get the munchies is so that you can eat high concentrations of carbs because the sugars in the brain when it's rapidly firing at a high capacity is primarily using the glucose that comes
Yeah.
from the transfer of the carbohydrates into simple sugars. And then the brain uses that. And when you smoke in the herb, you get what's called the dirty burn with the sweets. The dirty burn increases the black soot between the synapses, which increases the melanin communication with the central nervous system. So they knew everything they was doing, and this is why they said one of the reasons they wanted to get rid of marijuana because we smoke weed and go insane and rape white women, which wasn't true.
Right. Nah. Yeah, man. That's definitely a crop we need to be incorporating more in our business strategies, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Create Creating those trading posts, like you said.
Well,
I,
everything that we did, they stopped us from doing it so that the government can monetize it,
mm-hmm.
control it, and then sell us back our culture.
Okay, let me ask you this: as far as say somebody who plays no role within the system, say don't pay no tax, not in the tax system, nothing like that, operates business, but don't want to be anything that has to do with the LLCs, what's not like that.
That's the
But they
oral
still take.
tradition. That's because they tied to the oral tradition. They don't. The paperwork is all based on fraud out its inception. You
How would you that man move in commerce? You know what I'm saying?
you
Because
got yeah. Well, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices in some areas. But
what you say? What do you mean?
what I mean is, okay, let's say that you wanted to do commerce on the level of Elon Musk. You need a paperwork. Even if
Mm,
you ain't to that level yet, but that's what you're trying to do. You need the paperwork until the system collapses because they're not gonna let you do commerce on that level without it. Now, for the ones of us, like everything I do is based on the oral tradition. I don't
mm-hmm.
do commerce like that, right? I do it on the smallest scale possible, so I don't feed their systems life, you know, line. They
All right.
understand that their system is fraudulent, and you are
Mm-hmm.
unaware that their system is fraudulent. They are aware that they're acting under the color of law in violation of United States Code 1983. I think it's 24 USC 1983, color of law.
Mm-hmm.
They already know that all of their legal system, they're acting under color of law. How do they know this? Because they all got titles of nobility, and they all know that Constitution Article 1 in two different places prohibited the state and the federal government on both parts from giving out titles of nobility,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now they know that you have tapped into the fraud. They can charge you with fraud for supporting it. This is why the paperwork become a trap. When you
Mm-hmm.
try to use the um, tools that the enemy gave you to get out of his system, they only gave you a way to dig deeper in like a tick. Just when you think you was getting out, they can put you in a prison, call you a terrorist, committing mass fraud that could lead to the downfall of the government, and we won't hear from you again.
For sure.
And you can be 100% right doing what you're doing according to their constitution. And anybody that want a living example of that is the rise of the Moors. And the rise of the Moors movement was paramilitary training, right? And they were trying to operate outside of the government channels. That's all constitutional. The right to bear arms, it can't be infringed upon. But everybody was a legal gun owner. You got to pay this attention now. The rise of the Moors, none of them guys should still be locked up, and they all still locked up. Not because they um I like them or anything. I don't know nothing about them people personally, but I know the case that they caught. The Constitution say that we are obligated. This is in the Constitution to form a well-formed militia. So they can't be terrorism. Why are they still there? They was right the whole time, and they've been locked up at least 3 years. But they've been right the whole time. Just because you right don't mean the system is going to honor the fact that you right. The system is not designed for us to ever benefit. They called us outlaws for a reason because we exist outside the scope of their law fundamentally. But they use deception to lure us to abide by their law that has nothing to do with us. We didn't sail over here from Europe. They did. We didn't fall out with our king. They did. Listen what I'm telling you. We already had constitutions. We didn't need theirs. We had Articles of Confederation, right? We had the Iroquois Constitution,
Mm-hmm.
right? We had the Treaty of the Five Tribes that make up your five boroughs. What we call it the Shinnecock Treaty. There was a tribal treaty had nothing to do with nobody from Europe. That's why they can't never make five boroughs turn into one city. I don't care how you do it. It's separated by five different tribes, led by the Shinnecock. And they came together before the Dutch came. When the Dutch came, they named it New Amsterdam. Well, the Dutch got their
I
ass
can't
kicked.
hear you breaking up. Oh, there you
Yeah.
go.
The Dutch got their ass kicked. When the Dutch get their ass kicked, it go from New Amsterdam to New Yorkshire. Yorkshire is a city in England. That means that the enemy just switched. They went from being Dutch to English now. In the five boroughs, all of the tribes are still there. They ain't go nowhere. The Delaware Indians still in Delaware. I lived with them in 88, 89 for a whole year, working at Towns and Chicken Factory. Right? The tribes are still there. I went to Newark. I stayed in Newark in '90 and for about 6 months. Newark, the Newark Indians are still there. I talked to them, right? So we ain't never went nowhere except different parts of the land. But they want to tell us we from somewhere else, right? They did the Pequot massacre, but they didn't kill all the Pequot. They're still survivors. How we know? Because they still here. The Pequot Indians are still here, right? We didn't come from nowhere else. We was already doing business and commerce. Our great roadway was the Mississippi River. We called him Old Man River. Only reason we called him Old Man River because he was always being told how to be traveled by some woman. We called Big Mama, the old lady, or Miss Pippi. Take your pick. So Old Man River is being instructed by Big Mama, orchestrated. What is she doing before these motherfuckers get here in 1492? She just feeding the people of the land. That's why we don't have no poverty. This family farm, you travel from this part of the Mississippi to this part, and you feed them people in that city. In this family farm, y'all travel this part of the Missouri River, and y'all feed these people over here. And that's how we didn't need no grocery stores. Grocery stores is to starve us out, not to feed us. Because as soon as they take them away, we don't have no means of producing our own food no more because they done ran us off our family farm with sharecropping agreements, squatters' rights, and eminent domains.
Mm-hmm.
This is the design of their system, the structure. So any one of us, we know that we can't use the paperwork system directly. What we have to do is use the oral tradition and then make the paperwork come to us. They got to surrender to us when
Mm.
we show the competence in this particular area.
What language? What language would you say
It
we
don't
learn?
matter. It don't matter what language we do. It don't matter. We can all have different languages or we can all learn the same language. Right now, the only language that's current that was written by one of us over here is called Nawapi. Written by the Nawabians, Dr. York and his clan. That's the only original language right now that we have over here. Everything else is a spinoff of something Semitic or adopting the letter and words from other places. That's your English language.
There's Nuwapian. Nuwapian.
Mm,
Do their words animate life?
I don't know. You got to use them and try them.
I'm just asking. Because one of my favorite books that I've read was called Braiding Sweetgrass. I don't know if you heard of it.
What's the name of it?
Braiding Sweetgrass.
That was doing on me.
Mm-hmm. She spoke a language called Potawatomi.
Yeah, that's a tribal tongue. That's an ancient tribal tongue.
Yeah. And one of the chapters that really caught me the most was when she it was a chapter on the animate language and how our language of today doesn't really animate life. Like say, uh, what do we call a mushroom coming out of the dirt? You know what I'm saying? The action of it. You know what I'm saying? And the word is popoe. But that word can be used across so many different like contexts. Like we also use it popoe, like when we arouse as men. Popoe.
That's how we affect language anyway. Look, everything half of the English language was taken from tribal words. This is why we got to look at the language. Look at the etymology of the words. The English language had what they call a base language, 300 letters. It was an Orisha tribe language, right? They settled in England and Scotland and came up. with the first iteration of the English language called Old English. It was actually called High English, as in the mountains. And then it became Old English. And this language only had like 300 to 600 words at most in the language. But now you can get an English dictionary with 1 million words in it. You know, and when you look at the etymology, you'll find we got Arabic words, we got Chinese words, Japanese
Mm-hmm.
words, Korean words, Hindu words. We
We
got
create
varying
words every
different
day.
we got varying different words from different African tribes in the English language, but about 40 to 50% of it is words borrowed from us over here
Mm-hmm.
because that's what make us confused, genetically confused, right? Because we're gonna always alter whatever language we speak over time. It's gonna evolve. If you look at how we do the English language, in the 20s we had jive talk,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in the
No, no.
2020s we got ebonics, street
Mm-hmm.
slang,
Mm-hmm.
right? We just changed the name of what it is, the same thing, just the tribal influence on the common language to remind each other that we still here,
That's right.
right? Now, most of us not gonna notice it because we don't have an eye for tribal things unless we've been pre-programmed by our parents and grandparents to see things from a tribal perspective,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my mama was one of them people. My father and my mother's brother was always going to a powwow. I say, Uncle Buck, why y'all always going to a powwow? Ain't that what Indians do? He said, because we chiefs. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. But it ain't no joke. But he laughed,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now I'm confused because I thought we were supposed to be something called black. We
Mm-hmm.
wasn't African Americans yet. I asked my mama, right, where we came from. She said here. I'm like, no, I mean like what ship we came on. We ain't came on no damn ship. Programming me to think from the perspective of the people from this land. That stuff has nothing to do with you. Now you got to figure out what's yours. Get it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So the paperwork fraud and the language fraud is all to confuse us genetically. Because your DNA gonna express who you is, knowingly or unknowingly.
That's right. It.
Hey, Doc, I'm gonna let somebody else up now. I had you up here for a minute because I'm only gonna do
Word.
like 2 or 3 more people and I'm out.
All right, Chief. Love.
All right, peace, money.
Peace.
Let me see who in here. Oh, we got the brothers in here tonight, heavy. Nate the Great coming in or what?
What's going on, Chief?
Peace, peace, my brother. What can I help you with today?
Man, I was just listening in to be honest, and I love the way that you handled that Dr. Smalls joint. Can you see me?
I see.
I can't see you for some reason.
Yeah, it do that sometimes. We can't see each other, but we playing, we rolling. Everybody see us.
Right. I appreciate you the way you did that, man, because it was a lot of people who wanted, they just wanted you to snap out on them, oh, this and that. Basically, it's like we in this whole mess. Like psychologically, they did a hell of a number on us, man. And they got a lot of us fighting amongst each other because a lot of it just don't know. You know what I mean? And it's like it's hard to explain to certain people without them getting in their feelings and you know what I mean? They don't want to let go of what they've been taught. and new information is just so problematic. How do you deal with the people around you with that mindset?
They don't nobody give me no issue. Only people give me issue. At first, I get pushback from people that's been taught a certain way a long time, and then I have to okay, I gotta listen to what they saying because if I can't hear them, they can't hear me. We can't speak the same frequency. Once I hear them, most of the stuff, if they're a Christian, I've experienced that. I know where they stuck at. If they're a Muslim, I've experienced that. I know where they stuck at. If they're Moorish American, I've experienced. I know where they stuck at. The Nation of Islam, I've experienced. I know where they stuck at. Right, and those are the lanes that we travel to learn how to help people break free from the brainwashing.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, once we see where they're coming from, now we know what questions to ask them to trigger a deeper thought about what they were told by connecting it to something that they're familiar with to reduce the drag of the cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps them to assimilate new information based on what they know and what they don't know being joined. So you use something they already know. This is why we can't just throw the Bible away as toxic as it's been to us, because you can use the Bible to get a starting point for most of our people. And once you get that starting point, you can do a Q&A. This is part of how to deprogram cult victims. I did a study on that and studied that for about 3 or 4 years. But this is what they do. So once you know where a person is stuck at, you know how to get him free with the questions you ask. The wrong question will make them double down on the delusion. The right question will only trigger them to think for themselves more than what you're saying, but different than what they understand. And as you walk them through the process, they'll say, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, look right here. Tell me what you see. Right? Okay, now, it's like the word Jesus. Everybody swear Jesus is a man. And every time somebody come up with a stringy hair and a beard talking about they Jesus, the government crash down on them with full force because they know that's not Jesus. It has no possibility of being anything but an imposter. Jesus is ISIS. How do I know this? Because the Greek spelling of it is ISIS. And it's the same word that they translating as Jesus in the Bible. It's ISIS. Everywhere you see Jesus, the word in the New Testament, now Old Testament, you don't see Jesus. You see Yahshua. Because that's Joshua who was with Moses and carried on after Moses left. Right? Joshua, to them, was a saintly figure in non-Christian Hebrew culture. The problem is he's an afterthought. The whole Old Testament was to justify the New Testament. The New Testament was written first. It was actually taken from the Holy Drama. They came through the Coptic Church to get their first set of what they call scriptural texts. They formed a Council of Nicaea to determine how to create what they call canon. What are canons for?
War.
What do they do?
They shoot
What do they shoot?
ammunition.
Okay. Now, reason I ask you that is because the gospel is a canon. It's called the canon of the gospel. It's a tool for warfare. Right? Not only is it a canon of gospel, right? It's training you to be on a worship or a warship. That's called a homonym flip. They telling you worshiping, but they actually got you on a warship. The warship is the good ship Plymouth. How do I know? Because Malcolm said we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Well, what is Malcolm talking about? The good ship Plymouth, aka the Mayflower, the colonizer ship that crashed in Virginia. That they set up a monument called the Plymouth Rock to commemorate the crash site. This is where the ship ran ashore. We didn't crash our landmass into some ship called the Plymouth. The Plymouth ran amok on our landmass. So we ain't the ones lost at sea. They lost on land. But they tricked us into believing we was civilly mortis so they can institute the salvage right. And the salvage right is where they came up with a squatter's right. Only under salvage can you squat. Otherwise, you've designated land by a proper owner. Squatters don't have no proper land. They own somebody else's land. That's why they call them a squatter. But they're here to occupy by an occupying force. What does the occupation look like? It look like your judicial committee, your judges and your lawyers. All of them are barristers. All of them got titles of nobility from England. Under King George was the one who issued the first charter. Since they all got titles of nobility, they can't be part of the government, but they all leave the judge the bench or they give up a practice in order to run for office. What the hell just happened? The Supreme Court in the early days said that no attorneys shall be a member of the Congress or the Senate. Well, how the fuck is it full of lawyers now? Everybody up there is a lawyer. 98% of them are lawyers. That means they all working for the enemy. Every one of them that got an Esquire or an Honorable on their name is working for London. Those are titles of nobility that you can look up in any Black's Law dictionary and it'll tell you that Esquire is a title of nobility. Honorable is a title of nobility, right? We didn't have those over here because there was no big I's and no little U's. It was just who was where and what did you know how to do that served your purpose to the public. They come over here with a whole new system, a uniform system. That requires them to wear uniforms when they at work. And that's the only way they can commercialize your culture. It's by first giving it a licensing agreement. They got to monetize everything you naturally do so they can make money off your nature.
I'm listening. I see you got. I got it. My young king. He want to be on camera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to you though.
Hey, but look, I got a sister that called me from New York. She got a black cat. He's doing what yours doing. And then the Green Ape, one of my homeboys I did time with, we talk on a pretty regular basis. Every time me and him on the phone, his black cat come running in there.
I
They
got
know
two.
what's up.
This little guy, he's king, and I got Queen upstairs, the girl. Got the boy and girl. And this one, he's like my Secret Service agent. Wherever I go, he got to follow, make sure, do the security check. He don't miss a beat.
Hey, look, they think cats just be friendly to a stranger walk in that don't belong there and the cat dive on his head. That's the hardest motherfucker to get off.
Yep. They warriors, man. They ain't.
It's
But
easier to fight a dog. It's easier to fight a dog off than one of them cats get on top of your head.
That's a fact.
You trying to pull him off.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
Yeah. But that's all in our culture. That's why they always demonizing some shit.
Say it again.
I said that's why they always demonizing them, talking about black cats bad luck. That's because the women used to use them black cats at nighttime. All of them. Matter of fact, I posted in my story about a week ago about a guy that trained Black Panthers to hunt slave masters.
Wow. That's crazy.
I was telling the story long before I caught the receipt. The receipt popped up. I shared it. Well, I was telling them like we used to be like the Wolf Clan. The Wolf Clan. If they got on the Black Wolves, they had war. They don't wear Black Wolf caps unless they at war.
Mm-hmm.
And them, they like 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", 7 foot. They look like Shaq. All of them. They come right out of the Mississippi Delta looking like Shaq, but they got this. We wear wolves. They suck blood. They call us like kin because we look like kin, but we ain't. They look like us, but they ain't us.
Right.
There's no such thing as a stray cat. That's a misnomer. It's going to always be a misnomer. Cats are survivors. If you see a cat that don't have a person because they don't want a person in their life right now.
They there by choice for sure.
Yeah. When they decide they want a person, they're going to find the person they're looking for.
Even if you don't live with them.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a stray cat.
That's bars.
Cats go where they want to go when they want to go. They not stray. They know exactly where they're going. Stray means that you just wandering about. Cats will always know where they're going, even if you don't think they do. Just because you don't know what they're doing, that don't mean cats don't know what they're doing. The same with the dog. The dog know what he's doing. They'll run away from you. If the energy ain't right, they out of here. Peace. But then some of them they're supposed to stay with you during a certain frequency that you in. You can't run them off. Throw that motherfucker off in the woods, come back home, and 2 days later he be on your front porch.
That's for sure.
If them stray cats at your door, they ain't stray. First of all, they messengers, right? And ask them what the message is. Some kind of way you gonna figure it out. It's gonna occur to you what the message is. Cats don't just come to your door for no reason.
He on the prowl, he hears somebody walking upstairs. He's like, who is? Go get him then, man. Go get him. I
So
appreciate
I
the
got a cat every day pissing in my yard. Yeah, I'm gonna let somebody else come up. I'm gonna take a couple more before I go.
appreciate y'all, man. Love the family too.
All right, keep it up, man. Dark Angel 07.
Bro, what's up, Vic? How you doing, man?
Pretty
My
good. How
brother.
about yourself?
Good, man. Tomorrow is the born day, God. Tomorrow's the born day, man.
All right, happy solar return to you.
No doubt, brother. Yo, I got like a quick three I want to ask you, bro. First, I want to ask you, where you see everything going, and you see anything this week? I'm hearing a lot of critical things in the universe this week. What you think?
Man, look, uh, I I tell you when they flip codes that tell me stuff, I just put it out there.
Yeah,
Um, right now, the thing that I'm looking at is the weather forecast because that's not normal. They're talking about this coldest blast that we haven't seen in years supposed to be coming.
yeah,
That's
it's
kind of
cold.
weird. Something's breaking the atmosphere for that to happen
Mm,
because of the way that they showed the flow of the air.
mm.
You know,
It's
so I
cold.
don't
It's
know that I
cold,
don't know
bro.
if that's going to be a HARP situation, which HARP been closed down. Other countries still been using weather modification like they did over Jamaica. I
Yeah,
don't
that was.
think that was America that did it, but I think it was somebody that had a financial interest in redeveloping Jamaica.
That's right.
And right, so the only people I know outside America that I know for sure have weather modification technology is the Chinese and the Russians. And Putin is trying to stay away from using weather modification, but China is more liberal and they will sell it to private contractors.
I think it's dumb. I think
You
it's
know,
dumb. They already up in Jamaica heavy anyway. You know that. They
Yeah.
up there, you know. Another thing I want to ask you. So, bro, I want to once again. I always say I thank you for the knowledge, bro. Like you made me a bad man out here, brother. I've listened to you, made me a bad man, brother. I put a lot of people, you put a lot of pieces together in my own history for me to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And I thank you for that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because I was out here, we out here in the world, and they be trying to, they try to come for us. We have to be ready. We gotta, you don't know, you could be at a great disadvantage. You know what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
got do anything spiritual around me, anything you can see, or maybe you may feel, or I've been trying to put this thing together with my ancestors as far as with dealing with South Carolina, right? And I kind of, you know how we talk about the group of individuals, they look like us, but they ain't us. I see this thing with it goes way back with my great grandfather where they were always moving. And he winds up getting the way he died. I know that he was unalived. You dig what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
I see with my grandmother. My grandmother went to she goes to New York. She meets my grandfather. She's unalive, giving birth to my father. This is the wild thing right here, Rod, is gonna blow your mind, right? So my grandfather, he's in New York. He's from Miami, South Georgia, and all that originally. He's in New York. He when my grandmother died, when my grandmother passes, giving birth to my father, right?
Hmm.
Before my grandfather winds up talking. My grandmother worked in the welfare office, and I can't make this up. In the I forget what they call that building. Anyway, in the trade center, no, not trade center, the other one.
Empire.
Anyway, Empire State Building, exactly. And he marries this other lady, is a lawyer in there. She first black woman to graduate from Brooklyn Law School, first person to pass the bar in Queens, New York, and all that. She's financed by J.D. Rockefeller,
Hmm.
Florence Lucas. They take my father, and I don't know. I guess she also has also she when my grandfather, when he gets with her, they break up, and she winds up raising my father, adopts him, takes another girl that's a Jewish girl that was her friend. That woman died. It's all strange. You dig what I'm saying? And then boom, whatever this is, with I always was at odds with my father because he was raised by that people that love that state. You know what I'm talking about. That love that certain type of state. Those people that look like us, seeing us, the nobility people. You know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
So I just been feeling the wrath of these people dealing with me. And I don't know. I don't know what the line is. I'm not sure what the connection. I know these ancestors that I'm talking about. I know that they were American Indian. I know of the tribe and all that. I realized a lot of the teachers and stuff that was given to me coming up and all that. And I realized a lot of stuff they were teaching me. Ancestry of but I don't know where, I don't know what that is, man, what that is with these people and what the fascination they think
So
with me is.
part of their MO.
Follow?
You
Huh?
you describe part of their MO, right? So
Yeah.
let me give it to you.
Well,
When they watching the solar clock and they see a
mhm,
cheat coming in, right? If he's powerful enough, they need to re-educate him outside of his own culture. That's
mhm,
part of the George Washington challenge, to miseducate you and see if you can educate yourself above what they told you. Now, the ones that come over here can't have children of their own, so they adopt ours. They adopt ours for the purpose of being a surrogate parent to give us this European mindset,
Mm.
right? When you describe the lady, that's classic of how they end up a lot of time with our children. And the children will grow up under somebody that's from a different bloodline altogether. Ain't got nothing to do with their bloodline. And they want you to behave a certain way, but you cannot conform to that bloodline because that's not who you are. So you end up becoming the problem child in that family
Mm.
because you rebelling against the indoctrination they feeding you, but nobody know why you rebel. You have subconscious remnants of your past lives where you remember that you ain't supposed to conform. So you become rebellious,
Facts,
right?
facts.
And that's why they call us the most rebellious people on earth. Because when you try to force something on us, it'd be easier for you to just ask us to accept it than to force it on us. Because when you force it on us, we start to rebel in ways that they don't know how it's going to come out. That's why they remain perpetually in fear of us.
Mm.
Because they don't know how our rebellion is going to express itself in the community when we realize that subconsciously it's all going on. Consciously, you don't know shit from Shinola. But subconsciously, you got the memories from past lives and going through past struggles, so you become rebellious in this life. You
Mm.
quick to you quick to want to fight, whoop a motherfucker upside the head,
Mm. Too
right?
much. Yeah.
Right, because you trying to you rebelling,
Yeah.
right? And the natural thing when we rebel is we find other people that's giving up the same rebellious energy. They also rebelling. And this is how we regroup the tribes without trying to. And then the government is going to label them a hate group, a
Yeah.
criminal group.
Yeah.
Anytime that, remember, we outlaws. We outside the scope of their law, which
That's
makes their presence illegal to us, but our presence is also illegal to them. And now it depends on whose system are you going to rely on to determine the legality of your presence. So when they use the adoption system, it's a hands off. They ain't supposed to kill him, right? When I was born, they tried to kill my mama by giving her the wrong blood,
mm.
right? Because they don't want them to produce more than one of us. Because if two or three of us in the same family, we a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
they
they take your and when I look back at my brother and all that, they died too young and all that, and the way they break us up and all that, you absolutely right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro. Keep on building, bro. I'm sorry. I just had to interject for a second.
well, no, you good, you good.
Yeah,
But
that's fact.
once we see it going on, we can recognize it. But most of us don't know what we be looking at until somebody comes. Man, that's tribal shit. That's what tribes do. We
Yeah.
naturally tribe up, but we supposed to have alliances across tribes. This is why the brothers of the struggle, Lord Stone's disciples, right? When you go look at the Pontiac Rebellion that bred the brothers of the struggle, you will see that it wasn't one tribe. It was the cross tribes that we all recognize this same struggle for our rights to assert our own um,
Blueprint.
authority and jurisdiction over our lives. We have outsiders telling us that we need to live but conform to their rules. Now, my tribe, growth and development, our literature, our rules and regulations, and what we live by is not the same as the vice lords or the stone, right? When I go out west and associate with Crips, because that's my cousin tribe on the Blue House, right? But I gotta also show respect to the Red House, right? Because they wear their hat in the same direction as me, right? So when I go to California, I can't go in my tribal colors from the Midwest because I'm going to look like a goofy.
Yeah, you gotta be neutral.
walking around in Crip colors, wearing my hat like a blood.
Mm,
I look like a goofy to them.
yeah.
And that's gonna make me a sitting target. It's gonna draw all of the warriors' attention directly at me. And so what I need to do is several things tribes do. I call for a chief out there. Hey, I'm about to come visit. What's my dress code? I'm GD. They say, well, I'm in the blood neighborhood. You can wear your hat to the right, but you can't wear no blue shit, right? Or one of the OGs that I call is a Crip, he'll say, yeah, you come out here, you can wear your blue shit, you in Crip hood, but you can't wear your hat to the right. You understand? Because
Yeah.
so whoever I'm communicating with, now let's say I'm communicating with somebody that's an old school Panther that's neither blood nor Crip, and I'm going to see them. They say you got to dress in neutral colors and you can't wear no hat. I mean, now I say, okay, well, what's neutral colors? And it used to be black and white.
Oh,
The
great.
neutral colors told them that you wasn't part of the red, the white, the blue, and the blue and the red, the white, and blue got you killing. We all in the
Mm,
same game.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So understanding the difference in the cultures, like I can't go to New York and do Chicago shit. If I go to New York
Mm,
and do Chicago shit, everybody in
mm.
New York gonna be like, "Where this nigga come from?"
Nah, nah, I ain't going. You know what? I ain't gonna say that. It's different here. I listen to what you say all the time. You right when you say the tribes, like we still here, but
Mm-hmm.
not as much. It's we so overrun with all these other people coming here, invaders and all that and
But
everything else.
the old school, the OGs, the ones that been in the street, gonna know. If I
Yeah,
go to New York, I don't care what borough I go to. If I go to
mm.
New York and behave like I normally behave in Chicago, they gonna know I'm not from New York, no matter what borough I'm from.
But they're
They,
gonna accept you because they're gonna feel the vibe because it's a
right, but
that
that's
universal
getting to know
vibe.
me. That's another
Yeah,
element. I'm talking
yeah.
about on first sight when you see a stranger coming to the community.
Yeah, I wish
We
they was that
recognize,
though here.
right?
I said I
We
wish they still
recognize them
was.
out today. Who is
When you was
this?
here in the '90s, it was different. But now, I wish it was like that now. But now, I mean, there's a few places like that. But as far as now, people as far as the understanding and getting back to our ancestry and who we are, bro, being organic to the land, brothers is getting on that. You know what I'm saying? It's coming. It's coming around. We owe you a lot of gratitude, brother. Always, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of gratitude, bro,
Yeah.
because
So
you get see it because everybody's coming back into their own and when I was just thinking about what you said, I'm still breaking down what you said to the young boy. You was telling him about the five boroughs and how that's Shinnecock and how they could never make it into one city even if they wanted to or whatever. Like I was like, damn, you got me. I had to go. I'm about to get to Google and something. See,
yeah. But look, if you look on the symbol for